We've all been to the movies before, or at least have seen a movie, but few of us consider all the work that goes into it, and a large portion of us probably don't even stay for the credits. Well, I got an inside look at what it's like to make movie magic. I sat down with two directors for Grady Student Films this semester, Mike McDonald and Sam Parker. We discussed the highs and the lows, the good and the bad, and ultimately what film life is all about. So, Sam, as a director, what's the first thing you think about when you walk onto set?
I think, oh crap, everything's in my hands.
I think most importantly is crew morale, and to make sure that everyone's excited to be there and getting them motivated, and making sure that they're committed to what they're going to be doing for that day. I think that's more important than anything else that day in terms of setting up or anything, because that's going to determine how everyone's reacting to that day's work.
So, what's your number one tactic when approaching actors?
Well, I think there's a lot of different approaches to how different directors deal with actors. For me personally, there's a lot of talk about, the language in dealing with actors and how to approach them in that respect, and maybe certain keywords to use with them. But I think for me personally, it's about more of establishing a conversation of sorts with the actors, and I think that involves a certain level of trust.
Sometimes I like to sit down with them and ask them, because usually they were theater majors, and so I asked them if there's a particular acting style, whether it's like Stanislavski or the method acting or whatever, if there's some way that they like to pursue that. And I do my best to sort of keep that in mind whenever I talk with them. I do a lot of motivation-based directing, so I think about their character, what position their character's in, what they might be feeling, why they're doing something. I talk a lot about why something happens first, so that way it's everything's understood.
How to keep your energy up on set. Some, might say a good night's sleep. Some might say love of the game. I say energy drinks. I'm gonna tell you the truth, it's energy drinks. Get your sugar in. Get a sugar high, start bouncing off the walls. It's the only way to make it through a set. Answer.
So, Sam, visualizing shots must be difficult for you as a director. How did you come up with certain shots as you did for your movie?
It actually was really tricky. I had to go through the script piece by piece and line by line, and because I've spent a lot of time reading it and writing it and mulling over everything, I sort of have an idea of what is being felt, what is supposed to be evoked. So you have to think about the characters and what they're going through. Are they, how they relate to the environment that they're in. If they're in a moment of power or a moment of, being inferior to the other character. If it's every camera movement should be motivated as every character's movement should be motivated.
Visualizing the shots might be one of my favorite aspects of filmmaking. What else? I guess for me, especially in the project like we were involved in terms of writing it, that's where the visualization started in the first place. And with the script that we were filming, it's very visual script, and less reliant on necessarily the dialogue and what's being said, and more visually heavy and understanding it through that process. So in that respect, the visual element was a huge aspect of this film. And it's important for this film too to make sure, for that reason, that the visual element comes across and makes sense to the viewer in the same way that it makes sense inside of my head. And that's where it gets tricky.
I think arbitrary comes off amateur. Not that I'm pro, but you know what I mean. It's
Right.
You have to think about if this person's going to do this, or if this camera is going, if I want the camera to do this, why is it doing that? And it has to have a reason. And so I approach it that way.
Do you ever make up shots on the spot on set or have to cut shots?
Absolutely. We storyboarded everything first. But as much as I love storyboarding, because it gives you a great idea of what's going to look like, you run into problems of maybe where you're filming doesn't look exactly how you thought it was. Like if it's an exterior shot, maybe the environment is not laid out precisely how you thought it was. So you have to adapt when you're on set, and you have to think of, well, since we can't get this shot, how can we shoot it in such a way that it evokes that same sort of reaction?
I don't think many films ever turn out exactly how you have them planned in your head or in pre-production or in your storyboards or whatnot. But I think it's important to try to maintain that same visualization throughout, and to try to stay as close to the original intent as possible.
So, Mike,
Jessica?
What was the most difficult scene to shoot for you, and why was it so difficult?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's another one I've been thinking a lot about. The most difficult scene by far was we shot a scene in a library, and it was intended to be the mind of this all-encompassing writer power, which is difficult in itself. That means outfitting a library to look like something other than a place full of books. And so from a production standpoint, it was a challenge to begin with. It was honestly just one thing after another. We flopped some shots and reversed them when we shouldn't have, and had to go back and reshoot everything. And it was supposed to be like, I don't know, a 6-hour shooting day. It turned out to be an all-day affair, and we ended up going home at like 1 or 2. And it was, you know, it's just something that comes with the territory. That's filmmaking. And as stressful as it was, I mean, it was an enjoyable experience, and we got what we wanted, and that's what it's all about.
There was one scene in which we showed up on set and it was raining. So I had to adapt that a little bit. I gave one of my characters a poncho that was not in the script, which I think it actually ended up being beneficial overall. It added a little bit more to it. But yeah, it was raining a lot of the day, so we had to rig up all of these umbrellas around the camera. Everyone was in like rain jackets and ponchos and big boots, and we had to put condoms over the microphone so that there wouldn't be rain in getting on the mic. And some people on crew actually told me that we should stop filming because it's just going to get worse and we're going to have to reshoot everything. But I stuck with it. I was obnoxious and stubborn, and we kept filming. And it actually ended up looking really good. My faculty advisor always said that you know, rain it only adds production value. And it was right. I think it made it look a lot better. And it added another element to the story, which is how another layer of how they interact with where they are, which I really like.
So it was kind of a little gift that you didn't expect.
It was an unexpected little gift.
So if you could give yourself one piece of advice after going through all of this, as the director again, what would you say?
There are a lot of questions people are going to ask you, whether it's with the characters, whether it's with the style, whether it's with the sound of the film. And as a director, you really got to know all of it. So what I would do first is I would tell myself, I would keep the script the same, but I would write out everything that happened before and everything that would happen after.
What is your favorite part about being on set?
The people.
What about the people?
My favorite part of being on set is the experience and the people. The people that you're with. I could never sit in a cubicle. You know, I'm no businessman. I don't crunch numbers. I don't do the stats. And for me, it's all about, you know, the camaraderie. The
You can say it again.
about being able to share a laugh over people misspeaking. You know, it's all about the bonds that you make with people, with your crew, your cast, you know, and the love. It's all about the love that's shared. And it's, I mean, making film is a bonding experience, you know?
Are you bonding with the audience right now? Is that what's happening?
I feel like we have something intimate going on here. I just can't tell what it is.
So you see, movie magic isn't exactly magic after all. It takes a team of people working together to create any film. The process requires dedication and enthusiasm from start to finish. So the next time you sit down to watch a movie, maybe consider the credits.